Instead of playing any video footage, the courtroom took a more discreet approach. Each juror received a personal screen to privately view still images pulled from what Cassie described as freak-off recordings. On the witness stand, Cassie held a binder filled with these visuals. As she flipped through them, she identified various individuals captured in the frames, naming male escorts and occasionally pointing out herself, specifically noting that, in some images, she was covered in baby oil. Why do you think your name keeps coming up every time something surfaces about Diddy? Like the moment anything breaks, people immediately turn to you, asking what you think, how you feel, and what you have to say. It is like you are expected to have the inside scoop. And honestly, everything just took a wild turn. This latest twist completely flipped the Diddy case on its head, because after weeks of silence and non-stop rumors, the feds have finally pulled back the curtain and revealed what they have been holding back. Guess who just stepped into the spotlight as the prosecution's star witness? None other than Gina Hume. Yes, the very same Gina who has been quietly orbiting around Diddy's complicated world for years. This is not just another witness giving a routine testimony. No, this is deeply personal. This moment feels like it's loaded with years of hidden truths, emotional baggage, and maybe even long-awaited revenge. Gina's history with Diddy is anything but simple, and her ongoing feud with Miss Young Miami only adds fuel to the already blazing fire. This is not just a legal battle. It feels like a karma moment, a reckoning that has been building behind closed doors for far too long. And honestly, this could very well be the final blow that seals Diddy's fate. Miss Young Miami? She's already rattled, and honestly, who wouldn't be? When you are caught in the middle of such explosive drama, especially when the opposing side's key player is someone like Gina, who has so much dirt to potentially spill, it shakes your foundation. Young Miami's public image, her reputation, even her loyalty to Diddy. Everything could be on the line. The stakes have never been higher, and every new detail that trickles out seems only to pour gasoline on the fire. Let's take a moment to remember just how tangled this web is. Gina isn't just any witness. She is a woman who was once close to Diddy, someone who was involved during critical periods in his life. She saw firsthand the shifting dynamics, the overlapping relationships, and perhaps the hidden dealings that the public never knew about. And let's not forget the fiery history between Gina and Young Miami. Their feud has been no secret, bubbling publicly with social media shade, pointed comments, and a very visible competition for Diddy's attention. Now that Gina might step into a courtroom under oath, all those moments of shade could become far more serious, evidence that could turn this case on its head. The energy around this entire situation is electric, and it's shifting fast. With Gina stepping forward, it's as if a new chapter has begun, one that promises revelations, drama, and consequences. It's the kind of moment that makes everyone stop and pay attention, because it could change everything. Diddy's carefully curated image, Young Miami's place in the spotlight, and the entire narrative around this high-profile case are all at risk of unraveling. So, if you were thinking of sitting this one out, think again. This is the kind of drama that demands popcorn, a front row seat, and a readiness for twists and turns you wouldn't expect. Because in this game, when you act up, especially in a courtroom, you might just get caught up. The stakes are sky high, the players are fierce, and the next moves could rewrite the story for everyone involved. Stay tuned, because this is only the beginning. Things are about to get even messier, more personal, and ultimately more explosive than anyone saw coming. Now the defense has acknowledged that those infamous freak-off videos will indeed be shown. But they are making it clear that these clips did not come from the federal investigation itself. They came directly from Cassie's phone. That was their angle, casting doubt. They questioned why she kept these videos and suggested the case is more about complicated emotions, love, betrayal, and money than actual crimes. But the prosecution, they are not buying it. They are gearing up to bring in witnesses who say they were not just bystanders. They were hurt, pressured, manipulated, even assaulted into doing things against their will. And believe it or not, this is just the beginning. But before we break down how Gina Hume's involvement has Young Miami spiraling, let us rewind to the first day in court. The vibe inside the courtroom? Tense. People are reliving painful memories on the stand, and it is hitting everyone hard. The atmosphere is thick with emotion. At this stage, it is hard to imagine Diddy walking out of this unscathed. Based on everything emerging, this trial is shaping up to be one of the most explosive federal cases we have seen in years. And with the courtroom in Manhattan under heavy security and stacked with high-profile witnesses, the pressure is only building. That courtroom is sealed up tighter than Fort Knox. Press are scrambling for even the tiniest updates, and the public is left in suspense, unsure who else might take the stand next. But everything shifted on May 13th, 2025. That was the day Cassie Ventura, yes, the same Cassie who many believed had left this chapter far behind, stepped forward and entered the courtroom. And let us be clear, she did not just walk in, she made a statement. Heavily pregnant, belly round and full, she carried herself with a quiet strength that spoke volumes. That moment alone echoed resilience, like she was reclaiming a piece of herself right there on that stand. But what followed was even more powerful. Cassie's first day of testimony was nothing short of haunting. She recounted in chilling detail how Diddy allegedly dominated every aspect of her life for over a decade. Her words painted a dark and disturbing picture: violent rages, psychological manipulation, and the infamous freak-offs, where she claimed she was forced into explicit acts while he watched. The room fell heavy with silence, as jurors and spectators alike absorbed the weight of her story. Cassie and Diddy dated from 2007 to 2018, and though she had previously spoken on some of the toxicity in their relationship, this was something far deeper. On the stand, she described a man who allegedly weaponized his fame, wealth, and influence to control, hurt, and break her. She talked about him beating her in hotel rooms, smashing phones, taking hold of her career, and using intimacy as a tool of domination. It was not just a relationship gone wrong, it was a tale of power turned violent. The prosecution zeroed in, building a chilling narrative of abuse, coercion, and emotional terror. Cassie broke down in tears as the court played footage, including the infamous 2016 hotel video once leaked by CNN. But according to sources inside, that clip paled in comparison to what was shown in court. And Diddy? He reportedly looked like a man who knew the walls were closing in, though the defense attempted to downplay the accusations, arguing that the behavior, while disturbing, did not meet the threshold of criminality. It was impossible to ignore what was unfolding. The court saw a powerful figure assaulting the woman who once loved him. That reality hit hard. On one side of the courtroom sat Cassie's husband, Alex Fine, quietly supporting her. On the other, 6 of Diddy's 7 children watched as she described participating in weekly freak-offs that sometimes stretched for days, one even lasting 4 days straight. She spoke of hotel rooms left so wrecked that the staff demanded full redecoration, with bills to match. The testimony was so intense, so emotionally charged, that jurors had to be reminded, again and again, to stay fair and impartial. And truthfully, with the emotional weight in that room, staying objective is proving to be a challenge. The atmosphere inside that courtroom was almost suffocating, thick with silence, tension, and the raw weight of what was being presented. Prosecutors went in with full force, declaring Cassie as their star witness and laying out harrowing claims of beatings and coercion. But it was not just about Cassie. They alleged that she was one of many. Others had also been punched, kicked, manipulated, and pressured into degrading acts over the course of years. A haunting pattern, repeated again and again. As part of her testimony, Cassie sifted through a binder of images, pointing out individuals as prosecutors named male escorts. In several photos, she identified herself. One particularly unsettling moment showed her covered in baby oil. Reporters described the jurors' visible reactions. A female juror clutching her chest in shock, a male juror quickly looking away, and another scribbling shaken notes as the courtroom absorbed the disturbing content. Prosecutor Emily Johnson then pivoted to the origins of the alleged abuse, tying it into a broader timeline. The defense, meanwhile, worked to shift the focus. They argued that this was not about trafficking, but about a tumultuous relationship marked by love, cheating, and financial fallout. They even tried to undermine Cassie's credibility by questioning why she kept some of the graphic videos now used as evidence, implying there was another motive behind her claims. Cassie's husband, Alex Fine, appeared briefly in court as a sign of support. But once references to events from 2018 surfaced, events he might be asked to testify about, he was asked to leave the courtroom. Still, his brief presence added an emotional layer to an already charged atmosphere. And this is only the beginning. Cassie is expected to remain on the stand for up to 3 days. Gina Hume is not just some old flame. She is a major player in Diddy's complicated romantic history. Unlike the parade of short-lived flings, Gina lingered. They reportedly met back in the early 2010s during one of Diddy's legendary party eras, and she officially entered the picture around 2015. This was not some fleeting affair. This was long-term, strategic, and quiet. Gina was always close, but never too public. Even while Diddy was publicly seen with other women, denying serious commitments, Gina stayed loyal and present in the background. Their relationship was on and off for years, but her presence never completely vanished. She would vanish from public view, only to suddenly reappear, boarding private jets, draped in designer, or tucked in Diddy's social media posts like a ghost from his past who never truly left. Insiders say Gina stuck around because Diddy made sure she was taken care of. Living quietly behind the scenes came with perks: the soft life on the bad boy budget, quiet luxury, and occasional glimpses into the lifestyle of the rich and reckless. She was never center stage, but she was never far behind. Now here is where things get complicated. If Young Miami looks shaken, it is for a reason. The romantic entanglement between Diddy, Gina, and Young Miami was not some simple love triangle. It was a tangled web. Young Miami had already made waves with her bold interviews, glamorous getaways, and red carpet appearances alongside Diddy. But it was never monogamous. They made it clear. It was open. Diddy even described it as dating but single. Whatever. That truly meant coming from a man whose roster was deeper than an NBA bench. And then came that infamous kiss. Gina and Diddy locking lips publicly, just as Young Miami was basking in the spotlight. The internet exploded. But the truth is, Gina had been there long before the cameras noticed. And if she really steps into that courtroom with receipts, names, and a story to tell, the fallout will not just land on Diddy. It will scatter across everything and everyone in his orbit. But let me tell y'all something. Back in 2015, when Diddy decided to hard launch Gina into his world, the timing was beyond suspicious. Why? Because it overlapped with his long-term relationship with Cassie. Yep, that Cassie. The same one who later told the court that Diddy was juggling her and the late Kim Porter. According to Cassie, all three women knew what was going on and were essentially stuck in a rich man rotation. It was giving community, boyfriend with VIP perks and billionaire benefits. When money is flowing like water, people get unusually comfortable. Suddenly, sharing zip codes, skincare products, and even romantic partners becomes part of the package deal. But for a while, Gina and Diddy kept things low-key. That is, until May 2022, when Gina blew the lid off everything. Out of nowhere, she posted a photo of Diddy kissing her on the cheek. A simple pic, but it detonated the internet like a missile strike. Why? Because this came smack in the middle of Diddy's "we're dating but single" phase with Young Miami. The timing was no accident. The intention? Straight up chaos. Social media went into meltdown. That one photo had blogs scrambling, fans confused, and Young Miami furious. She jumped on Twitter with, "Somebody please give this beast some attention." Translation? Do not play in my face over this man. And just like that, the quiet tension between Gina and Miami escalated into a headline-making feud. From that moment on, it was no more side eyes and subtle shade. Gina and Miami were now locked in full-blown digital warfare, Instagram versus Twitter edition. And Miami, for all her clapbacks, had her hands full because Gina came prepared. With Wi-Fi, receipts, and zero shame, she dragged Miami every chance she got. The back and forth got even uglier in December 2022 when news broke that Diddy had fathered another child with yet another woman. Gina wasted no time. She uploaded a video mocking Miami saying, You out here beefing over Rainja while he got a whole other baby on the way. The punchline? City Girls down 1,000. At this point, it was clear. Gina was not just a name from the past. She had receipts, she had history, and now she might have the courtroom spotlight. And if she talks, it will not just be messy. It will be seismic. Y'all, she didn't just throw shade. She brought the whole forest with her. Miami, of course, came, back swinging with a series of tweets laced with insults, reminding everyone that while Diddy was for everybody, she was the one catching flights, grabbing gifts, and holding down front row seats. Still, no amount of Birkin bags could undo the fact that someone else was pushing his baby in a stroller. But there's where it gets even messier. Despite the drama, Diddy kept them both around, and they stayed, including Dana Tren, who had just had Diddy's baby in 2022. The entire time, Gina would post and delete, and Miami would tweet and subtweet, and Diddy was out here enjoying his clowns and a circus that he created. Now, fast forward to today, and Gina being rumored as the prosecution star witness in Diddy's federal case. Y'all, that's not just a bombshell. That's a nuclear detonation, because Gina isn't just a girl who used to date him. She's someone who knows things, a lot of things. We're talking about a woman who's been around him longer than Miami and after Cassie. And that means she's allegedly saw the transition from one era of Diddy to the next. And she knows how that machine runs, and who was involved, and where the bodies, figuratively speaking, were buried. And if Cassie lived that match, Gina's walking in with a full can of gasoline and a flamethrower. Not to mention that right after they broke up, as standard procedure, Gina started blasting Diddy for being and occasionally comparing her to Cassie. It's also being speculated that D allegedly put hands on her and made her terminate 2 pregnancies. All I can say is that hell has no fury like a woman scorned. And insiders claim Gina kept receipts, not just texts and photos, but real behind-the-scenes intel. But what happened on all these infamous parties?